Yes. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon, dear professors and research scholar. Today we have with a distinguished speaker, uh, Dr. Vinod B. Suryavanshi, Assistant Professor, Mechanical Engineering Department, Veer Mata Jijabai Technological Institute, Mumbai. Welcome, sir. Faculty Development Program on Electric Vehicle, very obvious, organized by our department. I welcome to you in the session. I start this session with the brief introduction of Dr. Suryavanshi sir. Sir has done his BE Mechanical. Sir, I am audible?
Yes, yes, you are
Yeah,
audible.
yeah, yeah. Sir has done BE Mechanical from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Aurangabad. MTech Mechanical from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. And PhD in Nano Engineering from North Carolina A&T State University, USA. Sir, area of academic research are manufacturing and characterization of polymetric composites and nanocomposites, biodegradable green polymetric composites material, finite element analysis of polymetric composites, additive manufacturing, molecular dynamic simulation of materials, electrospinning of polymeric nanofibers, nanoscale mechanical characterization using SEM, AFN, nanoindentation. Sir has published one book on finite element analysis published by N Book Private Limited, New Delhi. Sir has published more than 40 papers in various conferences, reputed journals. Sir has participated in various professional development programs organized by IITs, NIT, NITTR. Sir also Sir also has gone for the resource person and the keynote address for the various faculty development program organized by SPC Mumbai, VJTI Mumbai, and various institute. Sir is also guided for the PhD scholar at VJTI and the University of Mumbai. Sir also guided for the MTech projects for the automotive MTech in automotive engineers students, design engineers, and the CAD/CAM. So, with this brief introduction, I request to Dr. Suryavanshi sir to deliver the lecture or to start the lecture. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Bharatya sir. Such a great introduction.
Yes, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
To be frank, okay, I'm not such a distinguished professor as such, but I have touched many of the research aspects in the area of the composites. Okay, so I'll try to share my experiences. Though I am new to this field, new in the sense that as a researcher, when you start with, you need some let us say 5-10 years experience. You undergo through a lot of research projects, funded projects, and all those. That kind of experience I may not be having, but having studied, let us say, 5 years in USA, I have undergone a lot of let us say practical training. Experimentation was huge during my PhD studies, and that experience mostly I'll focus here with. Other than that, as an CAD/CAM engineer, I was before that. Let us say I have done some modeling also in the composites. So these are the two. I mean, my core areas. Let us say I'll try to share whatever I have with, and hope it may help all the researchers, faculty members here uh, in their field of interest, or if they are, let us say, they want to start in the composites. Obviously, I'm looking for such collaborations or something like that. Let me share with the screen and then we can begin with the formal presentation. Is the screen visible? The screen size and all, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Please do the slideshow so that we can
Okay,
see.
slideshow will be better. Okay, so the title is Nano Engineered Composites, and I would try to orient it towards the automotive applications. So the core is composites. Then what I did during my let us say PhD studies, I focused on how to nano engineer the original composite materials. Normally they are called as the fiber reinforced composites or fiber reinforced plastics. So this is what the focus of my talk would be. Basically, what I'm going to go through is introduction to composites, then how they are designed and manufactured, what are the various applications, let us say the current state of the art of the composites in automotive engineering. Then what is the scope for nano engineered composites, how they are manufactured, what are the challenges, how they are characterized. And as I said, I'll be touching, if possible, the design aspect of both the composite materials as well as the nano composites material. So, I mean, considering that not all will be aware about the composites, I begin with the basic introduction. So, composites, as you can see, it basically consists of two different materials. Okay, so it can be, let us say, cellulose with the lignin. So that is what I want to begin with, because wood is the most common composite material, wherein the fibers are cellulose fibers and lignin is the surrounding material. Or when you see the building materials, there are steel reinforced rod in the concrete. So that together becomes the composite material. So my focus, however, would be on the third material, that is CFRP, GFRP, which are commonly known as the polymeric composite materials. So there are other categories also which we can see in the classification.
Sir, sorry to disturb. We are not
Yes,
able to see.
screen is not seen.
Yeah, yeah. Other professors, is it? Or
So screen can be seen, the slides are not moving.
yeah, yeah. Seen. Yes. Slide not moving.
Introduction to composite. I am still on the first slide.
Okay, okay. Then it is fine.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So to begin with, what are the different type of composites? So broadly, they are classified as polymeric composites, that is PMC, polymeric matrix composite, where the matrix is the polymer. So basically, a composite consists of two things. One is matrix and another is the reinforcement. Then there are metal matrix composites and ceramic matrix composites. So these are the three broad category of the composites that we can come across. My focus would be here the polymeric matrix composite. We call it as the PMCs. So PMCs can further be classified as thermosets, thermoplastics, and rubber. So this is mainly the type of the matrix that is there in the composite. The other way of classifying the composites can be based on whether the fiber is, let us say, short fiber, long fiber, or there are variety of them. Let us say polymeric matrix composites, the first classification we already discussed. Thermoset is there, wherein the polymer or the resin is going to be epoxy, polyester, and phenolic. So thermosets polymer, we know that once we, let us say, give a shape to them, they cannot be remolded. So that is the property or characteristic of those polymers. Then thermoplastics are there which can be remolded. Then when you talk in terms of the fibers and particles, so based on that we can have either the fiber can be discontinuous or the continuous fiber. So what does discontinuous means? Let us say if there is a long fiber, we chop it, make into pieces of let us say 1 centimeter long, and then with that those fibers we make a composite. So those becomes the short fiber composite, or it can be particle composite also.
Sir,
So
sorry to interrupt. You are you are presenting, sir, because we are seeing only we can able to see first slide only. Your introduction by Dr. Suryavanshi.
okay, okay. Sorry. Maybe I started with the window presentation. Let
Yeah.
me stop sharing and redo it. Can you see this now?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
classification of the polymeric composite. That slide, third slide it is. Okay, so there can be particle reinforced composite and the short fiber reinforced composite. Those are discontinuous fiber composite, we can say, or the discontinuous reinforcement composite. And there is a one category of composites which is continuous fiber composite. So which can be again the fibers can be aligned in one direction, which is unidirectional, and there can be different orientation, different designs. Those are called as the textile composites or Owen composites. These the continuous unidirectional and textile are the one which are getting the giving the maximum benefits of the composites. Short fiber as such, although they are used in many applications, including the automobile applications, do not realize actually the benefits of the composite because the fibers are short and then the load is not completely taken by the fibers. We'll come at it when we go into the detail. And there can be different materials also, like glass fiber composite, GFRP it is called as, then there is CFRP, then aramide fiber composites, natural fiber composites. So variety of the reinforcement based on that also we can classify. So general terminologies are there which are more popular. Let us say GFRP, CFRP is there. Unidirectional is very popular. Then short fiber composite, injection molded composites. Those are some of the main categories of the composite which has got lot of applications. So in another way, what is particle reinforced? This is how it will look like. So there is one surrounding material which is called as the polymer, and we have put the particles in that. So that becomes your particle reinforced composite. Then short fiber, you can see here, the short fiber, chopped fibers are there, which are, let us say, embedded or mixed or immersed in the polymeric resin. Then we probably do the injection molding and get the part. So that those are called as the short fiber composites. The continuous fiber composite you can see here. So there are fibers in different direction probably. So those are let us say multi-directional or different orientation direction fiber. We generally manufacture this type of composite by layer method. We'll come across what the exact method of laminated composite is. So this is lamination. So we make a layer by layer and then add the polymeric resin material to that. That becomes your laminated. So there can be another category which is very popular in aerospace industry, that is honeycomb composite. So honeycomb structure you can see here. So at the center there is a foam or the honeycomb, and on the top and bottom there are layers of the core material. Sorry, phase sheet material. So phase sheet is nothing but it can be of the any let us say FRP, and then we can have the aluminum as the core. So these are the different variety of the materials or the composites that we can make. Okay, so brief introduction is done, but let us understand why we talk so much about them. So what is so interesting about them? Conventionally, let us say in our part of the world, or where we do not focus much on the material, we are not even taught about this particular figure or the chart. HB chart is very popular among the materialist engineer or the design engineer. And I saw it first time probably when I did my engineering, because when we studied materials, we just studied the metallurgy, wherein cast iron diagram and let us say steel, some alloys, and that we have studied. But we never used probably how to choose the material or what is the relation between material and the design. So that is not explored. Our design courses also focus mostly on given the material, design the part, right? So most of our designs or product development do not think about changing the materials. So that's where we lack probably, and that is why this particular slide is important. So when you are going for a design, you should always look at what is the best possible material available for me. And this chart help us very much. Let us say these charts are called as SB chart, wherein it gives the stiffness versus weight. So this is density versus the stiffness. Stiffness we measure in terms of the modulus, Young's modulus, elastic modulus, what we call it. And we can see that if you find out the ratio of that, for the composite material, it is very high. So you can see here, this is the composite material. So in terms of, let us say, Young's modulus value, if you take 100 megapascals and divided by the density here, suppose 2000, we can say. So that ratio comes out to be very high. And all the material, probably the gap, whatever you can see on the right left corner, there is a huge gap there, correct? So those material, if you can develop material which has the very high, let us say, modulus to the density ratio, those material are going to be strong, but I mean strong and stiff, but they are lighter. So those kind of a material people are looking at, and overall the development in the materials community or material research is focused when they are talking about the structural application is to fill up this gap. So can we develop some material which can sit in this region? So that's what the major research is going on. So whatever I'll be explaining, the focus would be to move towards the left left top corner. So if you can increase this envelope, so whatever composite material envelope, and bring in the properties such that the modulus is high, but at the same time the material is light. So please read SB charts if those who are design engineers or those who are teaching the machine design courses, and try to connect it with the design of the any parts. Let us say when you are designing the coupling or any material, any design application when you are doing, try to focus on how to choose the material and what the role played by these charts. Let us say stiffness versus density, and strength versus density, fracture toughness versus density. So many charts are there in one of the books written by the Ashby. So the concluding remark from this slide is that the composites are strong, stiff, but light. So strength to weight ratio is very high. So that is the main advantage of the composite material, and that's why it is used in the aerospace industry and many other industry where probably they want the best performance and they are not bothered probably about the cost. So in comparison with the other material, we can see again here the CFRP, that is carbon fiber reinforced composite, and these materials always perform better in terms of the deflection. If you can see, though it is high little bit, the weight of that material is very less compared to the steel and 2.7. Other conditions are same, so that's where they need not be mentioned here. So weight is very less, so they are light and strong. So hereafter I'll be focusing only on the polymeric composites, and then when you talk about we should know basically what is the role of each of the component. So there are two components in polymeric materials, polymeric composite material. One is called as the fiber and another is called as the matrix or the resin. So what fiber does, it takes the major load. Okay, so that's where it provides the stiffness. So stiffness is provided by the fiber, then strength is provided by the fiber. So stiffness and strength are the two different terms, as you might be aware. So when we talk about the tensile strength, that is nothing but a strength, and when you talk about the modulus, that is nothing but a stiffness. So stiffness and strength is provided by the fiber. The toughness and the damage tolerance are the properties of the matrix. So toughness, you can see that when, let us say, something is getting hit to the particular material, so the everything that is present in that material takes the load rather than the just the fiber. So majority of the toughness, because toughness is a continuous failure phenomena actually, not the uh, single stage failure phenomena. So that's where matrix plays an important role. So the various cracks propagation undergoes, then multiple cracks will form. Those cracks are generally formed in the matrix. So these are the matrix property. Whereas again the fatigue and impact, those are the fiber properties. In fatigue and impact, what happens? The cracks undergo, but the final failure happens due to the failure of the fiber. And that's where this again fiber contribute majorly to the fatigue strength as well as the impact strength. Likewise, corrosion, temperature, and chemical resistance, those are provided by the matrix because they come in directly contact with the surrounding rather than the fibers. So we have already discussed this. I have strength to weight ratio, then fatigue resistance is there, near net. These are some of the advantages, and that's where we are going for the composite material. What is more important to talk here is there are certain disadvantages too. And specifically, let us say when you talk why they are not used in the variety of the application or why they are limited to aerospace application, the first important point is expensive and difficult to manufacture. So carbon fiber composites are really expensive if you say as compared to the, let us say, our conventional material. And the processes also, typically the equipments and the techniques, equipments are costly and the techniques are cumbersome, so we need the expertise in that. Damage usually is not noticed, yeah, so because you can see that the steel and all fail suddenly, but the composite material, they fail gradually and then there is a sudden shock. So sorry, steel fails, let us say, gradually. When you pull it on the UTM, what you can see is that there is a continuous deformation and then the neck formation takes place, and after that we come to know that it's going to fail. Whereas the composites, the crack, they propagate and then suddenly they fail. Then hygrothermal, so if it is subjected to the thermal effects and let us say water effects, then it having the issues with that. So those we have to address. Lower strength in the transverse direction. So what it means is, let us say we assume the reinforced concrete beam along the direction of the let us say steel rods, the strength is very high, and across the direction it becomes very less. So that is called as the lower strength in the transverse direction. And they are weak in the interlaminar region. So this is particularly applicable for the laminated composites. So what we do is we make a component layer by layer. So when the two layers are joined together, obviously the weakness will be at the intersection. So that is what is called as the interlaminar region. Okay, so having said that, all advantages and disadvantages, let us have a look at what are the applications. So there are variety of the application. If you can see that the construction industry, the bridges are being made by the composites. Then sports industry, lot of sports equipments, they are made of composite because mostly the high performance equipments, the rackets, tennis rackets and all carbon fiber composites they are made of. Then automobile, yes, there are lot many applications. We'll uh, discuss in detail exactly where they are used and what sector of the automobile they are used. Sports industry, as I said, lot of the composites are used. Then let us say boat industry, lot of boats are made or ships are made using the composite material. Sports car, there are a lot of application. Obviously, so the Formula One and all those things, those cars are having huge amount of composites in that. Wind turbines, aerospace, those are conventional applications. That's where they are used. Yeah. So coming to the our main focus, that is automobile industry. In automobile industry, also lot of composites are used. But considering their cost, mainly at this point of time, they are used only in the high-end cars. Let us say the racing cars, okay, yeah, a lot of them have maybe about 50% of the composites are used. Whereas in the passenger cars and the low-end cars, it is not possible to use them at this moment. Yeah, so these are again applications of the high-end cars. let us say bumper beams of some of the cars, they are used made of the carbon fiber composites. The crash box, the typical application where is high energy absorption. So energy absorption in case of the composite is very high. Then flat structural part, the flat parts, they can be easily manufactured with the sandwich structure. So sandwich structure has the advantage of they are having the very good bending stiffness. So bending stiffness for the flat part is required, and the load carrying capacity also is very high in the direction that is perpendicular to that flat surface. So that is the specific advantage of the sandwich structure. Yeah, so you can see here all these cars wherever the composites are being used, BMW, then your Nissan, they are not bothered probably much about the cost. They are more focused on the performance. And there are again two main categories of the composites that are used in the automobile industry. Whatever you are seeing here, most of them are called as the continuous fiber composites. So the first, safety seat and side door structure, what you can see in the BMW, those are made out of the continuous fiber composites. So when I say continuous fiber composites, the fibers are in the form of, let us say, mat, so like our cloth, and then the layer by layer structure is made and we make a composite out of that. So that is one category of the composite which is giving the highest performance or the best possible performance among the composites. The second category of composite comes into picture are the short fiber composites. So those are used in many cars probably because these parts are injection molded, and injection molding is comparatively very cost effective process as compared to the all the other composite manufacturing processes which are typically made in the autoclave and all those big ovens. So those are costly processes. So when you say application of automobile, I mean composites in the automobiles, remember that when you want to go for structural applications such as the one shown in the BMW first safety seat and door structure, they have cost involved with that. However, the second category injection molded parts, we can still bear with them, and we should definitely go with such composite parts in the automotive industry. Yeah. So this slide shows what other or various parts that are being made out of the composite. So door panels, let us say, lot of them they are going for. Then dashboard typically they are molded parts. So injection molded short fiber composites will be used here. Under the body panels, so there can be again almost significant 11% of the parts are used. Then the noise encapsulation, then under the hood components, door seals, tire holders, all those things wherein the plastic is currently being used, it has a great scope for going for the short fiber reinforced composite. Other, let us say, the body parts or the panel parts, they can go for the long fiber composite provided the cost they are able to minimize or they are able to cope up with in the cost of the car. To summarize, what we can say here is why it is so important under the current scenario for the automobile industry to look at the composite material. Correct? So what they are saying is the lightweighting is the one of the most top priority of the automotive industry. So if you can reduce the weight of the, let us say, car, you can save on the fuel, and that's where it will be more attractive option for the manufacturer or the customers. So lightweighting is number one channel and challenge for the automotive industry, and composite is the most, let us say, possible solution for that. In similar fashion, when you are going for the electric or hybrid vehicle, again you want the weight of the car to be light and the weight of the car to be less. So lightweighting is one of the major focus of all the automotive developers, automotive manufacturers. So when we say about lightweighting, one of the best candidate to go for is the composite material. But there are challenges, as I said. So challenges we'll focus on, and the possible solution we'll talk about in next few minutes probably. So when you want to suggest, let us say, possible solutions, let us first understand what are the problems, what are the processes. So that's where first I'll talk about the manufacturing of the composites. I'll try to explain what are the challenges and where the cost is involved. And then we can suggest the possible solutions for them. Okay. So let's go and understand the basic composite manufacturing, polymeric composite manufacturing. So there are two materials, as I said. One is the reinforcement and other one is the resin or the polymer. So on the top, the two bottles, what we can see is nothing but a sample resin, epoxy resin. It is that generally used in aerospace, and which comes in the two parts actually. So we mix them together, and then along with that, we want some kind of a reinforcement, like a concrete, reinforced concrete. We have the concrete with us, and then we need reinforcement in terms of the steel rods or any steel material that is there. So reinforcement can be of any type. We can see that there are variety of the reinforcement. One is roving, simply let us say a thread like structure, and then there is a fabric, and there is a short fibers, let us say chopped fiber, which we can see here. So those can be various reinforcement. With that we can prepare, let us say, SMCs. SMCs is nothing but if you mix, let us say, the chopped fiber with the resin and make a sheet out of that, a semi-solid sheet we generally call it as, and then we make a composite out from that using compression molding or any type of a pressing operation. So that becomes the composite. Or if you are using the long fiber composite with the resin and then make a, let us say, pre-preg. Pre-preg is nothing but similar to in our general terminology we call it as the half cooked composite. Let us say we make a mix the resin with these fibers, and then we do not heat it to the final stage. Instead we heat it, let us say, 50%, and at 50% we save that resin in the half format or the semi cooked format. And then when you want to make a composite out of it, we are going to finally heat it to the its cure cycle or cure temperature, and then we can make a composite. Prepregs are very popular in the variety of the industry because they are easy to handle, and the consistency that can be achieved in the performance of the composite, typically the material properties, is very high in case of the prepreg. So this is the basic, that is how we can begin for the composite manufacturing. How the SMCs are made, that is explained here. So we can see that the continuous fibers are coming, correct? So glass roving, what we had seen in the lab, they are chopped here. They are chopped, and then these chopped fibers are mixed with the film. Film is made of the resin or the polymer, whatever you want to use there. And then these two things are pressed against each other. So finally, the final product will have the film, and in the film we have reinforcement in terms of the fibers, chopped fibers. So that becomes your SMC, sheet molded compounds, which is called as. Then how the prepregs are manufactured? Prepregs also will have the similar manufacturing process. Only difference could be they are not chopped, right? The fibers or the fabric, whatever you are supplying from here, it is mixed with the, or it is let us say homogenized with the resin film. So there is a resin passing over here, and then together resin and the fiber, we heat it up to certain temperature in the, let us say, treatment tower, and we get a prepregs. So prepregs are manufactured like this, a simple process, but we need a lot of chemical control there because we don't want to cook it beyond a certain limit, and that chemical and heat treatment is very important aspect. So prepregs are manufactured, let us say, by, I mean, very limited manufacturer because the chemical control required is very high in this case. Then there are other manufacturing processes. We can see here filament winding. What happens here? There is a filament coming over, and then it passes through the resin, and then we can wind it over a mandrel, whatever mandrel is there. So ultimately what we'll get a part which is nothing but similar to the hollow pipe. So that pipe, say if you want, we can go for the filament winding process. Or if you want the part to be of the, let us say, long tube or rod something, so we can go for the pultrusion process. So in case of the pultrusion process, what happens, we make a long part and there is a let us say die. Suppose if you want to make a pipe, so in that case we can go for the pultrusion, and that pipe can have instead of a pipe you can say that rod. Pipe needs, actually most of the pipe will need the strength along the radial direction. So the pultrusion parts are specifically having the strength along the length direction. So pultrusion we can go for beams, or maybe the rods, poles. All those things are made of the pultrusion process. And then there is a injection molding standard process that is used in other industries as well, and mainly used for manufacturing the composites for the reinforced plastic composite for the automobile industry. So injection molding is a very common operation or the manufacturing process for the automobile parts. So what they do in this case, probably there is a resin here, and then they mix the fibers also, short or sharp fibers or the particles, and then we can make a let us say a dashboard we want to make. We'll have the mold of the dashboard shape, and that can be made using the reinforced polymer or the short fiber composite material. We had said we can use SMCs also, right? So SMCs can be used in a molding operation. So we can use press. So directly, the press is seen here. Whatever is material kept in the mold are suppose SMCs, and we give the shape of the mold to get the desired part. So finished part we can see here. So directly we can make a part. So these are short fiber composites and easy to manufacture. As I said, injection molding and compression molding kind of operation where the short fiber composites are used are a little bit easy. Then to get the advantage of both short fiber and long fiber composite, what people can go for is hybrid composites. So you can see here there are SMCs in the green color and there are prepregs in the black color. So prepregs are continuous fiber composite, whereas SMCs are the short fiber composite. So as per the requirement of the application, let us say I am designing suppose a beam, and the beam requires maximum strength at the top and the bottom, correct? Whereas in the middle part, it can have less strength. So for such application, I can go for the hybrid composite. So, one of the best advantage of, let us say, composite is the tailorability, or we can customize it. The strength can be customized very easily. If you want the strength in particular direction, we can align the fibers in that direction. You want strength at the particular, let us say, level. In this case, suppose in case of the beam, you want the strength at the top and bottom. We can use the stronger material because we are going layer by layer structure here. Yeah, so compression molding we have seen already in the last slide. I think it is repeated. And there is one simple process which is called as the hand layup. Okay, so hand layup you can see here. What is done? The mold which is shown in, let us say, maroon color, and then on that we have the blue color is a fabric. So whatever fabric you want to use, or the chopped glass roving, whatever is there, based on whether you want to go for the chopped fiber composite or the long fiber composite. And then with the brush or roller we can just paint it with the polymer or the resin. These parts although are used in many, let us say, low-end structural application. When I say low-end structural application, these parts are not subjected to very high strength, or they are not the main structural members. So if there is a little bit issue in the manufacturing, let us say there are voids, we are not sure always that the resin will reach everywhere when you are doing with the paint or the brush. So there can be some discontinuities and all those things. So hand layup parts do not possess much strength as compared to the other manufacturing processes. Then these are some of the commercial processes or high-end processes. And typically the bottom one which is shown, autoclave. is used specifically for the aerospace application. The cost is very high, and the oven or the autoclave, what it is, the size and it is very huge, and the energy consumption is very high in this process. So basically, what happens is it is a oven plus the uh, pressure equipment. Let us say it can undergo the pressure, so a lot of pressure can be there to compress. So compression is the main factor when you want to have the high strength composite application, because we can apply the pressure there and then all the voids or the air comes out of the mold. Generally we have the closed mold and then we can take out the air from that. So for this kind of application, pressure is required, and if you want to have the huge oven with very high pressure, the energy consumption for such equipment is very high. So autoclave is very costly in terms of the energy consumption and the original cost. So that's why this is specifically used in the aerospace industry, and some high-end probably car manufacturers, let us say sports car manufacturer, they want very high performance, so they can go for such costly manufacturing process. On the lower end, we can go for, let us say, Wartum based processes. What is Wartum? Is vacuum assisted resin transfer molding. So in case of the autoclave processes, now if you look at this Wartum process, what we can see here on the left hand side, there is a resin going inside the mold. So the mold, which is shown by the black color, let us say, dry preform it is written, is nothing but a fabric material. We are covering with the bagging film. That means we are closing this everything, and we are sucking all the air out of it, let us say, with the help of the vacuum pump. So there is no air suppose inside now, and then we are infusing the resin. So that's where there is no scope for having the bubbles or air inside, so that your part becomes part gets a structural integrity. So any discontinuity or wide bubbles are going to cause the uh, let us say voids in the composite. So we don't want that. So for that purpose, we suck all the air. But still there is a possibility that some bubbles can remain, and that's where the autoclave plays the major role. What autoclave does is, in addition to the vacuum pressure here, external pressure is applied on this particular mold, and that makes it possible to move all the bubbles or take it out from the mold. So autoclave processes are very useful for removing, let us say, bubbles and pressing the seats together, and that improves further the performance of that particular composite. Next process, we just want to compare it with the Wartum or the RTM. RTM is a slight different version of the Wartum. Instead of a vacuum, they are applying the pressure there, okay, to infuse the resin. So high pressure resin pump is used, let us say, and whatever is the cavity, that is filled with the pressure. In case of the vacuum, it is pulled with, the resin is pulled in the mold cavity. The alternative method is called as the resin film infusion. So resin film infusion again is getting popular because it's giving very good performance compared to the Wartum and RTM. And what is done here is, instead of liquid resin being infused, a high viscosity resin film is used. Let us say semi-solid film is there, and then it is pressed against the dry fabric, which may probably a green color, the green color dry fabric, and then purple colors resin film. They are mixed together, so that becomes your film infusion. So this is liquid resin infusion. This is semi-solid or high viscosity resin infusion. Okay, so these were the some of the general processes or most popular. There can be variety of the other variants of that probably. Now, what manufacturers or commercial people are doing, I mean, commercial manufacturers or the product developers are doing is, they are coming up with the solutions, especially when we say the automotive parts we want to use it for, some cost reduction is done compared to what cost they are getting it for the aerospace. So that's where they are coming up with some standard solutions or individual applications by themselves. So this is one of the manufacturer who provides the material for the, one of the product developer, we can say, who provides the material for auto car manufacturers. So what they do is they provide in terms of the pre-brakes. So pre-brakes are provided, and then mechanical performance is equivalent to the auto clip. So that is the major thing that we have to talk about when you are saying that we are going for the composite applications, especially the long fiber composite application for the automotive sector. So mechanical performance, if you can get it similar or equivalent to the autoclave. Autoclave, as I said, is used in the aerospace industry, is a costly process, and the main reason they are getting performance there is because of the process. So autoclave eliminates all the manufacturing defects, and that is what is required in case of the applications such as the aerospace. They don't want any chance of the failure. But now other manufacturers or other approaches, other processes are being developed so that we can get a similar performance. One of them is the pre-brakes with certain modifications, let us say in terms of the fuel cycle, in terms of polymer that is used, can we reinforce the polymer with some additional material. So modifications are being done, and they are trying to come up with the solutions for the automotive sector. So these are some of the parts composite made up of the composites for the automobile or the car. Car doors are manufactured with the help of the composites. So these are real applications. So they are used in the some of the cars already. But again, the cost is obviously high, and that's where you can see that BMW GTS. So obviously, the cost is involved with the composite material here. Fine. So coming in terms of the cost, what we can see here is, if you compare with relatively, that is the aerospace application. So on the scale of, let us say, 0 to 100, we can take the cost of the aerospace component to be 100, and then we get it somewhere the molded parts, not the long fiber composite part. So molded part can be around 10. So that's where currently whatever application, most of them, and typically the mid-range card, they are focused only on the injection molded part. So can we increase the strength of the injection molded plastics that are used in the automobile sector with the help of some kind of a nano engineering? So we'll talk about the nano engineer composites later. So what does nano engineering means is adding some kind of a nanomaterial to the plastics and then increasing the strength of the existing plastic that is being used in the automobile. So mostly the under the hood components or the dashboards, all are using the variety of the plastics. Nylon 66 or nylon 6 is one of the most commonly used, and people are trying to improve the strength of them. So the cost is not much. If you can see, slightly it will increase, but if you really want to go for the achieving maximum benefit of the composite, we'll definitely have to go for the long fiber composites like this, like the door panel. Door panel is made of the long fiber composite here. Okay, so what we discussed so far is, yes, there is a scope for the composites in the automotive sector. Currently, they are mostly used for, let us say, high-end cars where the cost they are able to bear with. In the low-end or middle-end cars, it is typically the composites that those are used are the short fiber composites, wherein there is not much cost involved in changing from the plastic, current plastic, let us say polymer is there, ABS is there, to the reinforced plastic. Reinforcement is added in terms of the some kind of a fiber, chopped fibers. So that's the current scenario in automotive sector. So what is the solution? Let us say if you want to really go for the composite or improve the penetration or the utilization of the composites in the automotive sector, what are the possible solutions? That's what we want to talk about here. So first part we discussed composite material or the polymeric composites. where they are used currently, and what are the limitations. That is what we discussed so far. Nano engineered composites is one of the solution that is proposed here. What can nano engineering do? Nano engineering can, let us say, give us the performance of the autoclave based composite with the help of the low cost manufacturing process. So what we are doing is we are trying to use the nanomaterials with the low cost manufacturing process so that we can get the performance of the high cost manufacturing. So that's one. So we can replace the manufacturing process, costly manufacturing process, by the slightly cheaper manufacturing process and get the similar performance. That is what is the main focus of going for the nano engineered composite. We can get the better properties, obviously. When we say that nanomaterials, they have extremely good properties, and if you use them properly, that can give us the very good composites. Additional benefit comes with the nano engineer is the multifunctionality. What does it means is, if you are mixing, let us say, carbon nanotube in the some of the polymer, it will provide the strength, correct? Because carbon nanotubes are very strong. So it will provide the mechanical strength. Additionally, it will give the good electrical properties also, because nanotubes are electrically conductive and they have good conductivity. So if you mix it with the existing let us say polymeric material, we can get probably the electrical conductivity. Some application may need strength as well as the electrical conductivity. That's where the candidate material will be nano engineered composites. So this is where we are talking about need of nano engineering or the nano engineering of the composites. What I'll do here is a few applications we'll share whatever from our research, wherein we have tried to improve the structural performance of the composite with the help of the nanomaterials. I think we are left with another 20 minutes probably. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I mean, the stage is very clear. We have make a statement that there is a need for improving the properties, bringing down the cost. So that is the basic requirement, and that's where we are looking at nanomaterials as the prospective solution. So when you say nanomaterials, to begin with, always they start with what is nano, right? So they are very small. Let us say 10 to the power minus 9 meters, right? So 1 meter divided by 10 to the power 9. So that much small dimension when you are talking about is 1 nanometer. And you can see that where it comes very far. Let us say head of the pin is 1 mm, 1 to 2 mm. That is what the dimension is. And then we divided that by further 1000, and then we'll count to the 1 nanometer. So nanometer range, the dimensions are really small. The diameter of human hair, that again can be compared, it is in terms of the micron. Okay, so 10 to 50 micron. So micron is 10 to the power 3, let us say, nanometers. Okay, sorry, millimeters will be divided by 10 to the power 6, and here 10 to the power 3. So those small materials, but they are beautiful. Beautiful in the sense that they are really pure. Purity is very high, because when you make a bulk, there are possibilities that more defects are there. In case of smaller and smaller things, there are less defects. So when the defects are less, the materials become strong. So we are talking the structural point of view. So a lot of attention has been given in the last 20 years to them, and there is a lot of spending on research. And after 20-25 years, some good results are coming out. They are typically classified as 0-dimensional, 1-dimensional, 2-dimensional, or 3-dimensional. So 1-dimensional, when I say its diameter will be in nanometers, the length can be in millimeters, centimeter. So like that, 2-dimensional, its width and, let us say, length, width and breadth, probably whatever it is, it can be in the nanometer. And then sorry, its thickness any two dimension can be in nanometer. In the case of a 3D or the bulk material, nothing is in the nanometer. So that is bulk material, you can say. Zero dimension, a particle. So particle is having all three dimensions or whatever possible dimensions are in the nanometer range. How they are made? They are made in the two different fashion. Either bulk material, we crush it and make it into the fine particles, or we can join individual atoms to make a nanometer scale object. So these are top down and the bottom up approaches. Why nanomaterial compared to the other material, let us say bulk material? If you can see carbon nanotube, tensile strength is 30,000 megapascals. Steel का कितना है 1000 megapascal. So 30 times more strength of the steel. So that's the beauty of these materials. And there are many other materials, though they may not be having the same strength at the carbon nanotube, but they are better than their bulk counterparts. So when I say I want to make a polymer out of a polymeric rod of, let us say, 1 centimeter diameter, and same thing if I make of, let us say, 50 nanometer diameter, that smaller one will be stronger in terms of the tensile strength or the tensile modulus, because as I said, due to the size effect, there is a purity involved in that and there are less defect. So nano engineering or nanomaterials can be used for a variety of the applications. So there is a big list of that, and most of them these days they are looking at the functional applications. So when I say functional application, wear resistance, let us say anti-reflective coating. So these are some kind of a functional application. The part will give you strength as well as some additional properties like that. So functionally they are good. So electrical conductivity is a functional application. Our focus here would be on the structural applications. So how do we get the strength, additional strength with the help of the nanomaterial or the nano engineering? In the automobile sector, the nano engineering started way back, let us say 1990s, quite early. And the specific material that was used there was nano clay. So nylon 6 was reinforced with the nano clay, and then they got a very good improvement in the properties, strength and the stiffness. And that's where in most, let us say, American cars and high-end cars, the all injection molded or the nylon material parts, plastic parts, they are reinforced with the clay, and that is in practice for a long time. Similarly, polypropylene also can be used along with the clay. Nylon 6 carbon nanotubes are used in some of the vehicles, and many nanocomposites are being used in the Chevrolet cars, all the cars they are using. So yes, although nanocomposites do not have that much market share or the utilization in all the cars, still they are, I mean, they have become practical. Like initially when they 25 years before they started with, they were not knowing what is the scope, actual application of the nanocomposites or the nano engineering, whether they will be used or not. But there are applications which are developed, and it has become reality after 20 years. Okay. So this was so far general. Let's go specific with how we can use the nanomaterial in the composite and how we can improve the properties. As we said, there is a need for the improvement in the properties, and there is a need for the alternative low cost manufacturing process. So these two things we'll be focusing on in next few slides to come up with the possible solutions wherein we can use the nanocomposites in many of the automobiles. So how do we manufacture nanomaterial? And typically we are talking about nanofibers here. Electrospinning is the process used, very simple process. In the syringe there is a polymeric liquid. What we do is we create a voltage difference, large voltage difference between the syringe and the plate, that is collector here. And due to that, the liquid is pulled in the form of a, let us say, small fibers. So those fibers get collected and we call it as the electrospun fibers. Number of polymers are being electrospun. So beauty of this process is it's very easy compared with any other nanomaterial manufacturing processes. So and we'll see like thousands of papers are there in last few years or last 1 decade, and applications of the electrospun nanofibers are, I mean, lot of them. So it's very easy process, and those who want to start research, definitely they can go for such I mean simple process. What is the advantage nanofibers? They are better than their let us say bulk counterpart. So when I say bulk counterpart is I'm making the nanofibers out of, let us say, glass, and similarly if I make a micro size fiber, regular size fiber, so our nanofiber will be strong in many cases. Depends again what is the processing conditions and all those are there, but there is an advantage that they are stronger. And other aspect is they have high surface to volume ratio. What I mean to say that if there is a bulk material, if you take one cube, let us say, and if you cut it to small pieces, those small pieces will have high surface area will be high compared to the volume. So that's where the surface to volume ratio is very high, and this is required in many applications. In terms of the composite, why it is important? When the surrounding material want to be bonded very firmly with the composite, the surface area plays a major role. When the more surface area is there, the adhesion between the fiber and the matrix will be better. Specifically how this is manufactured, electrospinning process, that is what is shown here. We make up that what is to be put in the series, that is the solution we make, and then that solution is electrospun. This is chemical reaction involved with that, and finally we can see actual manufacturing process is here. On the sheet, on the collector plate, we can see that there is a deposition. That deposition is something like this under the microscope. SEM, if you see, you can see that mat-like structure is created, wherein the fibers are randomly oriented. Okay, so this structure is very porous, and the fibers are in the diameter range of, let us say, 200 nanometers, 100 to 200 nanometers. So that is the diameter of these fibers. Yeah, so this is the SEM image of electrospun glass nanofibers actually. Now these nanofibers, as I said, are used in variety of the applications. Typically, if you start with, let us say, scaffolds are nothing but the bone. If you want to create an artificial bone, so we need some structure there to hold the surrounding material, soft material, and that is called as scaffold. So scaffold generally provide the structural support for any application. Then energy storage, all the solar cells and all these electrospun nanofibers are extensively researched to as a high energy storage elements. Sensors, then in case of the biomedical, the dressings and all. So we can see that what is the advantage here? The electrospun nanofiber can be made out of variety of the materials. And then we can probably add some medicines in that nanofibers just by mixing in the liquid some medicine, and we make a wound dressing or wound pad out of that. So that can be easily used to treat the wounds. So wound dressing is huge application. Fuel cells, batteries, solar cells, so all variety of the applications. So if you see the research on the electrospun nanofibers, I mean, it is growing like anything. And typically the manufacturing process is easy, and that's where people find it very useful. In case of the automobile, the battery is the major application. So when you talk about electrical vehicles, the battery is the major part, right? And people are doing a lot of research on improving the performance of the batteries with the help of the electrospun nanofibers. You can see the separators, whatever you see between these two plates is the basic requirement is there. The separator should have good porosity, and the nanofiber structure what we see here is having very good porosity, and that's where electrospun nanofiber become the very good material for the separators. Okay, so next few slides, what I'll explain is how these nanofibers can be used in the manufacturing of the composites. So there are two types of composites we are manufacturing. Two-phase composites, wherein these nanofibers will be mixed with the polymers. We call it as the two-phase composite. And the three-phase composite, these nanofibers, let us say, will be mixed with the fiber reinforced composites. Already composites are there, which has regular size fiber and the polymers. So we can chop these nanofibers with the help of some kind of a chopper. We can do the solution mixing. There is a liquid there to mix with the solution. Let us say ethanol is used here. It is called as the solution mixing process. After chopping, we can get some fibers like this. Then we mix up with the polymer, let us say epoxy resin, and finally we get a modified resin. So this is called as the nano engineered resin. So we have mixed the nanofibers with the resin. What will happen? Nanofibers are strong. The glass material is strong. It will improve the properties of the resin. Polymer generally is weak among the fiber and resin. And by adding the small nano size fibers to the polymer, we are improving the properties of the resin. Now that improved resin is used in the polymer, fiber reinforced composite. So what we do, the fabric is laid up here, fabric layup, and this modified resin is given as the input, and it will mix with this fabric and we get a composite like this. So this is called as the composite using the nano engineered resin. What is expected? Expected is that due to the improvement in the properties of the resin, we should get the better performance or better mechanical properties for the composites. And that is what is happened here. What we can see is effect of nano engineering on the fatigue performance. So the fatigue life of, let us say, the red color is for the composite without any nanofibers. So we had not mixed the nanofibers with the resin. And we can see the curve here, which shows that the fatigue life is lesser than the greener cycle. Okay, green color dots. So that means with the help of the nanofibers, we could improve the performance of the composite. So if you can improve this performance further, let us say if you use for the stronger materials, CNT, carbon nanotubes and all, and the process that we used is very simple. This process is H-Wharton process. It comes under the low cost manufacturing process. So with the low cost manufacturing process, go for the nanomaterials and get the performance as comparable with the high cost manufacturing process. That is the approach for the nano engineer company. In another application, what we did, instead of chopping those fibers, what simply we put the electrospun nanofiber mat. The mat is nothing but like a cloth, correct? So we deposited it on the collector plate, and that is how we had made a nanofiber mat. If you can put it on the resin film, what will happen? These two things will join together, and then there are the various prepregs. Prepregs is nothing but the one which has resin and fiber both. So in between the two layers, as we had mentioned earlier, the composite is generally weak. So if you can reinforce that region with the help of the nanofibers, we should be able to get the improved performance. So how do we check the performance? By separating them out. So the actual picture of the manufacturing process on the left hand side top figure without nanofiber. So there is no nanofiber mat here in this composite. Then on the right hand side top, nanofibers without treatment. So treatment is something like what we do is to have the proper bonding with the polymer. This nanofiber mat is chemically treated. So some chemical agent is applied to that. So that is what called as the silent treatment. So without treatment and with treatment. So that kind of an experiment we had done. And then we made 3 composites and we tried to understand whether it improves the performance. What kind of a performance we are interested in? Whether they separate easily, whether their separation strength is improved. How it is checked? It is checked on the machine like this. So the hinges are there, right, in the left figure. So it is put on the machine, it is clamped on the hinges, and we try to pull it apart. So that pulling strength, whether it improves or not, that we can see here. So in case of the nanofiber one, yes, the pulling strength is improved. Surface modified or the treated nanofiber work, it did not improve. So this is initiation. Initiation means when we just start pulling this, that is called as the initiation stage. And the propagation is when the crack propagates. So at initial level, we did not find any improvement in case of the modified nanofibers. Whereas the one with the, during the crack propagation, we found the improvement in the both the cases. So this is what shows that if you use the nanofibers, we can improve the separation performance. Let us say those composites will not delaminate easily. So again, there is a scope for the better properties, and we can go for variety of the configuration, variety of the materials to get the better performance. Lastly, what we saw is when you put those dry fabric electrospun fibers in between the two layers, there is no weighting of the there is no proper weighting of the nanofibers. So how to solve these problems? What we had done is we had applied the pre-weighting. Pre-weighting means this nanofiber mat was soaked in the resin, and that improves the resin infusion in that, and that helps in improving the performance. So the pre-weighted fiber showed the better performance. So pre-weighted, we can see the good fracture toughness. Fracture toughness is nothing but how quickly it opens, or how much energy it takes to open up or separate. So pre-weighted one perform better. So these are small solutions that we can suggest through the research for improving the performance. Like nanomaterials, they are very powerful and useful, but unless we develop the manufacturing processes, their use and actual realization of their benefits will not come into picture. So you have to go for small experimentations and realize their benefits and develop the processes for the nano engineering of the existing component. Okay, so I think we are done with the time. What I would like to conclude is we can use the electrospun nanofibers to improve the performance of the composite materials. Let us say glass fiber composites, what we focused here on, and that improvement in the performance can help medium scale, let us say medium range automobile manufacturers to go for the composite material, and thereby reducing the weight of the automobiles. So reduction in the weight will result in, let us say, we can go for the electric vehicles, or we can reduce the cost of the existing car. So these are some of the benefits to go for the nano engineering or the nanomaterials. I'll stop here, and we can take the questions if any.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the nice presentation and the information sharing with us about the nano engineered material. Now I open the forum to the all professors and researchers. If any query, please ask to the sir. Hello, I am audible. Hello.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for the nice session.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Dear professors, I am audible to all of you. Hello. Anybody is there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I am putting the link. Just hold there. Submit the attendance, please. I have put the link in the chat box. And tomorrow, with a very nice session between of the vehicle dynamics used in electric vehicles by Professor Dr. Sudhakar Umale sir, who is professor and head of the mechanical engineering department of Sardar Patel College of Engineering, Mumbai. So please be there at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you very much, all of you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gawande sir, for resolving the issue during the session.
Welcome, sir.
Vijay sir,
Yeah,
is there any possibility you'll be sharing those recordings with us?
yeah, recording I will share you. Actually, that recording I need to upload on the YouTube also.
Okay, because certain portion of few lectures we missed because of different reasons. So
Okay.
we don't want to lose those valuable contents.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, yeah, it is compulsory for me to record and the upload on the Atal website on the YouTube.
Okay.
So there are lot of things are there. I'm always saying that you fill the attendance and like that, because I have to update the attendance daily and session wise. It is very difficult and complicated. So you can understand some administrative parts are there
Yes, sir.
which I need to complete.
Sure, sir. We'll be waiting for the shared links.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. See you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Okay. Shall I leave?
Yes, sir.
Okay.